My name is Kanwal Kaur, and today's date is May 25th, 2014. I was in high school, so must be around 14, 15. I was in Jamnagar, Gujarat. My only source of information at that point of time was newspapers, and I used to read Indian Express, but there was a lot of information that was blocked. So I only got to know what I overheard, like from my parents, and I was an avid radio listener. Like I would, listen to a lot of channels on radio. That was my main source of information. I think my main source of information came from BBC London because I was not only a very avid listener, but I used to communicate with them. I used to write to them, a lot of correspondence with them. I was into foreign languages. So I got more from them than from the Indian media. So that's where there are a lot of Hindi news programs and English news programs, and whatever my source of information was BBC London. I don't remember exactly, but what I do remember is the whole blame was on Pindramale, and that slowly and steadily I was kind of starting to believe that Sikhs were at fault and following Pindramale, and that there was something wrong. And I think the information about violence and the attack and the two sides of the coin came from BBC and not from the local newspapers. I was kind of being shielded from a lot of information, so I wasn't really reacting to anything. A lot of things were bottling up, but it was not coming out. So, and I had learned to bottle up a lot of stuff because of various personal reasons, and that's the reason I did not react at that time. It was just bottling up, and I was hearing information and just blocking it out. So for me, it was like something in remote part of India which I don't live in, I have never lived in, and I was not impacted. So Gujarat is pretty remote, and we lived in a very small town, which is a coastal town. There was no impact at all. I was still in Jamnagar, Gujarat, and still not impacted by any of the events happening in Punjab. I remember we were about to leave school, and we were getting in the school bus because I always studied in schools that were on defense bases, because we kept getting transferred, and that was one of the defense bases. And a bus used to come to take us to the civilian area to drop us off, and that's when in the bus I heard people talk about Indira Gandhi being shot and those kind of things. And the first reaction was, of course, you are shocked as a Indian kid that my prime minister has been shot, but there was no information about who shot her, who they were Sikhs or something. There was no information like that, and the information did not come till the next day when I went back to school, and that's when it hit, and that's when all my bottled up emotion from June to November came to the front. And how it happened was I came to the school without much information as to what's going on in Delhi and what's happening elsewhere. And I was school captain. I entered my classroom, and there everyone is standing as if to welcome me. And on the blackboard, it was like very well written in beautifully decorated words, "Sikhs go to hell." I wish I had a camera to capture that picture. And they were all just standing there waiting for my reaction. And my class teacher was a Sikh woman herself from Amritsar. There's no reaction from her, and I felt totally naked in front of all of them, like very badly humiliated. And that's when all that 6 months of pent emotion, I just started crying. And then I broke down so badly that they didn't know how to deal with me, and I was just screaming, and I just wanted to be left alone. And they took me to the principal's office, where there were 2 Sikh teachers in the school who were called to counsel me, but I didn't want to listen because they were just trying to tell me what was written was right, and that I need to feel ashamed of myself, which I was not willing to. And I think that was the first time in my life I felt that I'm different being a Sikh. Till that day, I had never felt different. I just felt I'm an Indian, and I never felt that Sikhs or Hindus or Muslims or some. I didn't feel that distinction till that day when I was so badly humiliated. It was mostly the anti-Sikh sentiment that you felt in the students in school, and the thing is, our house our property was in UP. It was bordering Delhi, and I didn't find out till later, many years later, because I said I was being shielded from information, so that I'm known to be an emotional person, so they didn't want me to feel hurt that our house was stoned. But that information came to my parents, but it was never passed on to me at that point of time. All my extended family lives in Lajpat Nagar, Delhi, and the area that they live in is Lajpat Nagar, and a lot of them they did form, those groups that took charge of taking care of each other at night, but none of them eventually got hurt. What I thought at that point of time was, and I was a pretty rational kid even then because I was very politically aware, and I did understand that it was politically motivated. I still, after all that, did not feel hatred towards my Hindu friends or my Muslim friends or anybody else. Though I did see a change in their attitude towards me, I did not feel it at that time because I was, like I said, I was very politically aware and I knew it's something political and I shouldn't be affected by that. Something changed in me per se. I stopped caring. I stopped trying to fit in like I would otherwise, and but I think something wrong happened in the sense that I tried to even distance myself from Sikh friends as well, because I kind of felt that there was something wrong happening in Punjab, and Sikhs were also Sikhs were also in the wrong in some way, and that's something I started feeling in that time. Hindsight, that was a wrong thing, but at that point of time, with my age and with my experience, what I felt was that I need to distance myself from religion per se. So I used to start thinking that I'm an atheist or whatever. I don't believe in religion. It just leads to killings and those kind of things. And the next thing was because of various circumstances, I had to be in Bombay within 1 year, and I had to attend Khalsa College, and I hated that because I didn't want to be a part of anything that had religion association with it. After the violence, actually, I think things changed a lot for the community. For years, things continued. Like when it came to Bombay, terrorists were being hounded, so-called terrorists. I won't call them terrorists. I don't know who was right, who was wrong. But there were these people who were being searched for by the various agencies, and so they would come to our areas. They were house searches, and been through that. So slowly everything, I think, added up, and it kind of took me away from religion a lot. I kept with the Bani, but I think I kept away from the institution called Sikh religion till I left India and I came outside, and then I met people who were still following the religion, and I started reading a lot because that time I was focused on my career, making something of myself. And then when I had, I was successful, I had, I could sit down and take a look back, read a lot of history. Then I started realizing, what was wrong, and started researching things myself. And then I realized that how wrong I was in moving away, that institutional religion is required, and that I need to be a part of it. So that's when I started moving back again to institutional religion called Sikhism. And now when I look in the hindsight, I realize maybe it was right to be shielded from all the violence and all the information. Maybe it was not, because I did not get the right perspective for so many years. It took me a lot of time to do some self-introspection, and then what you have in countries like US and your generation is that you have a lot of resources like YouTube, internet, and you have a very active kind of organizations like Jakarta, where you get to know this information. India, there is nothing. There was nothing at that time. So there was no way you could get to, get with like-minded people, like-minded Sikhs, or get together anywhere to get any information. All you had was a majority surrounding you, and you don't even have Sikh friends. Where do you go for information? All you do is you just, hide your emotion within yourself, and just, wait till it all bubbles up, and you burst out someday. Yeah. It was pan-India because Bombay also has a lot of gurdwaras, and we lived in a very predominantly Sikh area, but still I do remember that Sikhs were fearful when Bombay was burning in 1991 or 1992, I don't remember the exact year, and I actually went through it again, all over again, because I was traveling to Bombay and there were fires all around Bombay, and because this time it was anti-Muslim, but still Sikhs were caught in the middle, because Muslims don't consider you as being on their side, Hindus don't consider you to be on their side, and you were caught in the middle. So, and my parents had to save me to get, because I was coming from Agra to Bombay, and there was fire all around, there was shoot at sight, and they had to take help from the local Hindu organizations to get buy safety for me to get me home. So Sikhs always have, and I have a family where my mom lost her two brothers and sisters. During the Pakistan partition. They came from Rawalpindi, and my father lost everything when he moved from Rawalpindi. And they never, after all that partition, I feel it's been very wrong that they have never expressed anger for that loss. And then the 84 loss was also not. It was all taken as if it's okay, it happens, just deal with it. So that's something I think is wrong. We have learned not to react to anything, whether it be the partition of 1947, 84, it could be again. Like, you have to react someday. I think just with my dad, not with my friends ever, because I really didn't have many Sikh friends. And with my dad, it was more a very rational kind of discussion. Like, I had a different opinion, and he was, after all that experience, he was very much into like more the external expression of Sikhism, that you have to be wearing the Rehatnama and all those things, and I used to question everything. So we had those kind of arguments, but this issue was not discussed because we had totally opposite views at that time. Like, I not supporting anything that was happening in Punjab, and he rationalizing there was a reason for it, and so we never saw eye to eye. And now when I think I understand his point of view, it's too late. I don't have him to discuss all that. So I don't think I've had nightmares, but I have had regrets. Like, I think once every year, or once, I don't know, when I work a lot with kids and all, I go through that, that there was so much bullying my brother went through in school with his patka open, his juda, open. And in India, we don't call it bullying. We just take it as a part of life. And when I see all that awareness here, I wish we had that awareness at that point of time to, stand up for ourselves. I wish when they showed us that, when they wrote Sikhs Go to Hell, I reacted rather than cried. I feel I was too weak, and I regret that till today. Like, I wish I had stood up and given them a piece of my mind, or given back a proper response.